There's a new HGTV show called Renovation Aloha, and I'm gonna convince my wife to try and get into flipping.
Good luck. Profit's 248. This is like a no-brainer. Yeah, sure. If that actually plays out the way this is playing out.
Your profit's down to 168. And he had to convince his wife, hey, I thought we can get this for 600. It's now 75 grand more. And just like that, you lost $75,000, which is more than the average salary of someone in the US.
Wait, question. Why is your numbers different than their numbers?
What I'm gonna do is, I think what's always fun about these renovation shows is they show you how much they got it for. They've been a little bit more transparent with the numbers, but I wanna see, based on how I run numbers, how close we can get and what I think it would take to get the deal done. And then babe, you can ask me any questions.
Sure.
And this is my wife, this is Hannah.
Long time no see, guys.
Whoa, look at that, we got balloons.
Fun.
How did they happen? Oh. Okay. She used wholesale for...
Oh my gosh, that was a long time ago. I totally forgot about that.
And you got a lot of deals done.
That was a different life.
Well, great job to Kamohai and Tristyn for getting on HGTV. And we've already watched, well, it's 1.5 episodes. And I want to figure out how we can actually get this done. So they would buy the house at $600,000. Renovation cost is $350,000. Super, I mean, there's a tree going out through it. Total cost $950K, and then I think they can list it for 1.4 million. Holding costs, that includes interest, closing costs, etc. 150 grand for a total profit of 300K.
I swear, every time you just start talking numbers, I just get so tired.
Okay, so just quick reactions.
Yeah.
This house, there's a tree growing out of it. It's clearly like the ugliest house you've ever seen. And they had to do the sight unseen, according to the show.
Yeah. As is sight unseen. You couldn't go in, I mean, but you could see that tree.
Yeah.
So where did they get this 350 number?
I mean, they've flipped a lot of deals, so they would probably know, hey, based off of square footage, here's how much a super, super heavy rehab would cost.
So this is a guesstimate.
This is their guesstimate. And I also, I mean, in terms of the show, I have no idea. Did they make this graphic? I'm assuming they made this graphic after the deal was done. That's just my assumption on the show. But they also get clips of them negotiating with each other. So they can't be that far off. And if you've flipped or done a bunch of deals, you can ballpark it. Like, here's what the worst of the worst rehab would cost. Anyways, babe, can I do this deal? So they would buy this for $600,000. The ARV is ARV is 1.4 million. And then the rehab is $350,000. I'm gonna assume a 10% interest on this. And that's you just getting private money, so raising money from somebody else. And let's just say for something this heavy, that's gotta be like, at least that seems like a 10-month job.
Yeah, 6 months seems quick.
So, hey, can we do this deal?
Oh, and the profit's 248. That's just like a no-brainer. Yeah, sure. If that actually plays out the way this is playing out.
There's one number that you can control, which is your purchase price. You can't really control your rehab to an extent, and then whatever you can sell it for. But if you are truly confident on the ARV and the rehab, it's just breaking this down, right? Ultimately, if the rehab does cost $350,000, and we have no idea how much it's going to cost, say we even increase the purchase price to $700,000. That means you still have $140K profit. Is it still a deal?
I mean, it doesn't look as nice as the 200,000, but sure, it's still a deal.
Okay. One thing that was really interesting about the show is that how they got their deal. So this is now, good job to you guys, door knocking to get this lead on this deal.
Well, it's different setup.
Well, on the next part of the show, he calls the agent and the seller says $650,000.
The seller's agent, oh yeah. The owners, they want $650,000.
Yes.
That's like the hard number, the minimum number.
Yes. So now the potential profit, at least in terms of our underwriting, goes from 250-ish down to 195. Still a deal?
Yeah, still a deal.
Okay.
Wait, question. Why is your numbers different than their numbers?
So there's a couple of different reasons why my number could be different. The biggest time is I have no idea actually what their holding costs would be for something like this. Like if, let's just say, for example, at the very beginning of the show, they said they could potentially get $300,000. We would either have to be able to get this deal done in 4 months, which I think is impossible. Like there is no way you're doing this rehab in 4 months. They could have access, if I think it's 10 months, they could have access to cheaper money. Maybe they're giving someone 8% interest. Maybe they're giving someone 7% interest.
Got it.
And maybe it is only taking them 8 months.
Yeah.
Or 6 months.
Okay.
or 5 months.
And 6 months though is because they already have a solid crew. Like they have their contractors that they trust. They have their people that they trust. So that's why that could look different because we don't necessarily have a team.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
if you did something in a specific market, you would have a better chance. And they've obviously done a number of deals in this market. So that's why.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thanks for the clarification, babe.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. So he thinks he can get the deal done for $650 because that's what the seller's agent said. But realistically in the show, it then went to $675.
Yeah.
And now your profit's down to $168. And he had to convince his wife, hey, I thought we can get this for $600. It's now 75 grand more. And just like that, you lost $75,000, which is more than the average salary of someone in the US. Still a deal?
When you say like that, that sounds bad, huh? And these numbers are assuming that this will take 10 months.
Yes. I don't know how actually.
Okay.
That's maybe something to ask them on Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. Okay. 168 for 10 months of work.
But say worst case scenario, say it takes a year. And as you underwrite deals, you should look at the worst case scenario. In this case,
different variables.
Like what if now we had to buy it at 675 and it took a year?
A year.
And now we're down to 150 versus originally we thought we were at 300. Or I had it at 10 and 10 at 250. So we're $100,000. Like that's how fast a deal can lose money. Like from the span of just the offer to even the holding costs, we've now lost $100,000 in potential profit. If we have any more of those hiccups, we are losing like all of our profit.
What if the rehab was 400,000? What does that look like then?
So your question was, what if rehab does go up?
Yeah.
Their rehab did go up. And you said, what if it goes up 400? But they actually wanted to raise one. There's 2 houses on one lot. And so they wanted to raise one of the houses to make it level. And that, according to the contractor, was going to cost an extra $75,000. So now your rehab budget goes from $350 to $425. Now our profit for all this risk to have how much money into this? Total project cost being, purchase, rehab, and holding costs and closing costs. That means you got to find $1.2 million to then only profit $70,000. Babe, are we still doing this deal?
No. That doesn't even seem worth it. Oh, years of work though, you still have it to 12 months.
I do. And so what if it is 10 months? Sure, let's play with that. 87 grand, worth it?
No deal. No deal. That's a big headache.
That is a big headache. And keep in mind, in the show, they've already closed on the deal. They have to now execute on this project.
Yeah.
So they have
no turning back.
They have no choice. So they're keeping going. But if in the initial underwriting, it said, hey, we are now going to make it at 425. At this point, I would probably just try and negotiate the purchase price. If we are at this point purchasing and we come back with the rehab being $75,000 more, we'd have to find a $75,000 cut, which in my perfect mind would be...
In your perfect mind?
Yeah, my perfect scenario.
Wow.
would be at the purchase price. And now we're back at our profit 168. Deal or no deal?
Yeah, that looks better. That looks worth the headache. My mind is thinking a year, 10 months of work, how much of a headache is it going to be? And yeah, is it worth it for 10 months of work? And 168 feels worth it. 87K does not feel worth it.
So after all that is done, what happens now, and we have different phases of the project here. Let's put this back to 675 because I want to see the actuals of what I would think it would be, of just what happened in their mind.
Well, also in the show, the seller or the real estate agent came back and said the seller wanted 675. So that was the real purchase price.
Yes. But if there was a way to walk it, to do something, and you had a more solid concrete estimate of how much the rehab scope would be, I would fight hard to try and purchase it. Otherwise, that could be a deal breaker. And that's something that you would just tell the listing agent.
Ooh, question for you. Would you buy a house unseen as is? Have we ever bought a house that's been unseen or as is?
No, we've always at least walked it, and
Yeah.
I've always had at least like a light inspection, like a investor inspection.
Yeah.
So you pay a couple $100 or someone. We're gonna rip out bathroom, kitchens, everything already, but I just want to make sure that structurally it's good. So foundation, roof, mechanicals, like your electrical, plumbing is sound.
Okay.
Everything else.
If we were to do this though, we would not, especially on our first one, buy a property unseen as is.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
We would make sure that we get multiple contractors to at least get in there and give us a ballpark.
And so that's another thing is the with talking about variables is like our risk tolerances are very, very different.
Yes, and this is them having done probably dozens of deals in one market already.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so this is now the end of the show. And at the very end of the show, the listing agent says, here's how much we can list it for. And they actually got exactly what they listed it for.
More than, they thought 1.4, but then it was like 1,499.
Yes, so they, more than their ARV, which is 1.123, too many zeros in this. Okay, so that means they got 1.49, and then rehab is 425. This is, again, our numbers. And then 675. So the total profit I have is $177,000, which is an awesome, awesome home run.
Yes.
That's not what they got actually. So they ended up getting.
Well, they had different. The timeline was different. It was Was it 6 months or was it 10?
So I have no idea what their actual timeline is. That's just.
They didn't say that in the show.
No, yeah. I wish it actually had said it in the show. Maybe it's in other episodes, but that's something to follow up on. But at least in the show, according to my notes here, their entire profit was $200,000 for HGTV rounding. I'm sure this is the producer's rounding. And then their holding cost is $178,000. Pop quiz, what's holding costs?
I was just thinking that, but I didn't want to ask.
So your holding cost is how much you're paying in interest plus any closing costs for the project. Meaning if we're borrowing this money and we're borrowing it at 10% interest, you're paying $82,000 to somebody else.
Who? The person?
It could be a private lender. It could be
the person that gave the money.
lender. Yeah.
Got it.
Which means that they're making they're making half of what we did just because they have the amount of capital. Eventually, I want to be the bank and just be this guy. So you don't do any of the work. You just vet operators, and then you can make literally 50% of the upside. Okay. And so they have holding costs from the show at $178,000. My holding cost is $217,000, which means that we have very different numbers. Like that's a $50,000 spread.
I don't know. You lost me. You said so many things.
Basically, the net of that point there was they can either do this deal faster than us, or they have access to cheaper money, which if you have either of those, you can now either pay more money to get more deals or also just be more confident. And that only happens with experience.
What if they used their own money?
Okay, so if they did not have to borrow at all, say 0% interest, now their profit goes at $260,000. So if they have done this and they got a lot of cash and they're now also the bank, they pay 0% interest, meaning now their profit jumps a lot because they're not paying that $82,000 in interest borrowed. The other thing is, what if they're also an agent? Like in a lot of scenarios, the flipper, one of the spouses is also a real estate agent, meaning they're also getting the commissions.
Yeah.
And so if they can find the buyer and also be the seller, that means they're saving 6% versus my estimated 9% here. And so they're saving another, what was that? $40,000. So if they're the bank and the agent, their profit now goes from what we think is $177,000 to $300,000.
I like that.
So you'd be an agent now?
Let's do that.
But yes, that would be the best case scenario. But what actually happened for them, of course, is they were all in for $675. They put in $425, sold it for, let's call it 1.5. Their holding cost is $178,000 with $200,000 profit. So an awesome deal. For us, we would be $23,000 off of their number if we had the same crews, the same teams, but that's how I run the numbers. 20 grand off, which is 10% swing. Still a deal?
Still a deal. Let's do that.
Okay. So how
How?
Well, okay, so my question is, how can they get a deal? Like, how did this deal happen for them?
Well, they live in the area, and I think I remember him saying that he saw the house. He just passed by it. And then and then he brought the wife to go check it out. And then the neighbor happened to be outside, and then so they talked to the neighbor. So they're local, and yeah, what's that called? Driving for dollars?
Yeah, driving for dollars, building rapport.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, especially being in Hawaii, like being in the Bay Area, there's no
Aloha.
well, there's no like local support really.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just business.
Yeah.
I feel like here
Mm-hmm.
versus live in Hawaii, like you have to be from Hawaii to like, if you're from Hawaii, especially native Hawaiian, you have an extreme advantage, obviously, because that's also your land, but it's very different of a business environment than the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they built rapport.
Mm-hmm.
What was other, I mean, we watched the show. What other things did you like about the episode?
What things do I like about the episode?
Mm-hmm. So and I'm sure this is, again, just the producers changing this, but the major problem they had was that the tile was out of stock.
Oh yeah, so stressful because she really wanted the custom tiles, and I was like, that just seems so unrealistic. Like that is the biggest headache, that these custom tiles that they wanted weren't going to be shipped on time, and they didn't, but they had someone in the mainland to go and ship it off to Hawaii. And that was one of their challenges, is that a lot of things don't ship quickly to Hawaii because obviously it's an island. But yeah, that was their biggest headache throughout this whole process. Even the tree in the middle that was growing in the house was not even that serious, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the producer part, obviously. I'm sure a lot of the tree removal, the jacking the house up a whole floor,
yeah,
like to me would be a more scary situation. But if it looks like their contractor team is really good, which means maybe it wasn't a hassle.
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge there was there was winds and a storm was brewing.
One other thing that I don't think that you would notice as a trouble, but in the show, this was filmed in the middle of COVID. So while they were renovating, interest rates jumped up 4%. Do you know why that matters? Yeah, 1%. Do you know why that matters?
Yes, because that impacts your holding costs, closing costs, some costs. Okay, wait, if your interest rate goes up, that means the longer you hold the property before you sell it, the more money you owe to whoever.
Yes, and I guess what was not discussed in the show as interest rates going up was not their fixed holding costs, meaning their cost of money, but they sell it to Joe Smith down the street. And Joe Smith, instead of having a 4% interest rate, now has a 5% interest rate when he buys the home that we're flipping. And why that matters is that it significantly changes their monthly payment.
Yeah, no, I didn't know any of that. That's not what I was thinking.
Let me show you why that matters. Let's just say it's going to a mortgage calculator here. So let's say that we're going to buy a house for $1.5 million, this exact house. One more zero. The down payment will be 20%. So our loan amount is $1.2 million. I'm just going to assume middle of COVID. Let's say that they could get a 4% interest rate, which means that they'd have to bring $300,000 down. That sticks. But that their total monthly payment would be $6,000. That isn't all right. 1.2, 4% interest rate. Property tax, PMI, home insurance, $200. Yeah. Okay, that works. Okay.
Told you whenever you talk numbers, get bored. Unless you're talking about money, target money.
Let's just talk about money.
No, unless you're talking about money in my pocket.
Yeah, this is how you make money in your pocket. Okay, anyway, so here's why 1% interest matters. Interest rates, if you sold that at 4% interest, that means someone's monthly payment would be $6,000. Okay? If it jumped 5%, 1% up, their monthly payment now goes up $700. At the very peak of interest rates, people were getting 8%, which means for that same house, you'd have to pay $9,000 a month.
Oh, whoever they sold it to.
Yes.
So then it decreases the chances of people buying.
Yes.
Ah.
Because
That makes sense.
The more expensive the house is like this, in order to get a loan, you have to qualify and have enough income. And so if you don't have enough income to qualify for that, and if your payments jumped 20, 25, 30%, that significantly reduces your buyer pool, which means that you don't get the value, the ARV that you want, and now your flip does not work because you can't sell it for the price that you thought it would.
Okay. Thanks for breaking that down, babe. So smart.
Which is also why a lot of people who are trying to flip homes during COVID did not work.
Okay. I was going to say another thing about them being so good at doing this, obviously having done it various deals, but she was really good at noticing or looking at whatever home it is and then understanding how to change it up to increase value, like space wise, and like how to open it up and put the kitchen here and to like make the most bang for your buck, I guess. But like, we don't have that. Do you have that? Can you do that?
No. Which is also why, like, if we're going to flip, you have to work with a contractor who has done flips and can help advise. I mean, I think what's also like, and what we've done with rentals or Airbnbs is you just have to look at the competitive set. So as you are running your ARV, just go here. Let's just say we want to flip in San Jose. I'm gonna pick a random neighborhood and I want to find homes because we have, you know, a prospective flip in this area and it's going to be a 3-2. And so I'm only looking at 3-2s in the area. And I want to see not for sale, but sold homes. And then now at this point, I want to make sure I'm looking at flips. And so I can also, right, bring this down more. So what's the square footage? Maybe I'm only looking at homes that are between 1,200 and 1,600 square feet. And then you can also have lot size because you want to be as specific to the comparable property as possible, right? So let's just say it's a 8,000 square foot lot. So I'm picking the lot size and then year built. I don't want anything newer than 2,000. Okay. So now these are my flip properties.
How do you know they're flips?
Well, now I have to look at comparable properties in this area. So if we're looking here, everything is selling between, like, let's just say our subject property is here. And I have sold in the last, let's make this 6 months. Cool. So now I can see if we have a house here, this one sold for 1.4, 1.4, but these ones here sold for 1.7, 1.9, 1.9. So why did this one sell for so cheap?
Cheap.
And it's because it's dated. And so for example, for here, like here's, I mean, I love the ceilings, but very woodsy, but the bathrooms aren't updated. Old bathrooms, they just virtually staged it. I mean, kitchen's clean, but it's not like modern, right? Versus, let's go back to my search, versus one that sold for, let's say, 1.9. Why did this one sell for 1.9?
Because it's Purdy.
Is it Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
All right, is this one 1.9? Sure. Okay, so this one sold for 1.9. Is there... they took down the pictures. Smart people. Why? I mean, once you sell the house, you can ask the seller agent to take down the pictures. That way no one can see inside your house. Like right now, you can see inside their house what their house looks like. They also do that. Good for you. Smart people. Okay. But this one doesn't look like a flip. This looks like it was renovated maybe like 7 years ago. Actually, like not renovated. But as you go through comparable properties and trying to find different levels of finishes, this is what I would do. I would just go in, and as I look at the comps, this actually looks like this could have been decently fixed up because it looks like it's repainted on the exterior. Give me kitchen and bathrooms. No. Wow. Okay, this also might be just a different area. Oh yeah, I'm going too far. I need to see these guys. Okay, well, I get your point though. So yeah, you would just go in and try and see. I don't remember. What was my original question? Why are we even talking about this? How do you know which finishes to pick out? Oh, yeah. Okay. And yeah, you just have to see what was the level of finishes for some of the other homes. I guess you can also, tap into realtors because they know what people want and blah, blah, blah. So one way to do this would be to... Oh, I'd definitely get rid of that and open that up a little bit. I mean, it's crazy that it didn't sell for that much. So anyways, I mean, it would be if you get a lead for a potential flip property from an agent, ideally you try and say, hey, we're going to flip this. We'll also use you to list this property. That way they make double the commission, right? And then from them, they help us on identifying, hey, what are subject properties that would verify our ARV and what are level of finishes? And a good investor agent should be able to help you identify that. If they can't, they are not actually good investor agents. Anyways, I hope you found that helpful. This show was really cool. Good job, Kamohai and Tristyn. Love to shoot a podcast with you guys. Let us know if you have any questions about how we break down deals like this as well. By the way, if you want a copy of this calculator, I have it linked down below. There is a long-term rental calculator, an ARV calculator, a flip calculator, a BRRRR calculator, a short-term rental calculator, rental arbitrage calculator. That's all there. And so this is what I use to underwrite deals every single day.
Oh, shameless plug.
I know. Listen, if you're not going to get this sponsored, someone sponsor me, I'm going to sponsor myself.
Also, if you have done some flipping in the Bay Area and you want to include a free tip in the comments below, that would be helpful too.
Anyways, thanks so much. My name's Josh. This is my beautiful wife,
Hannah.
And we are just here trying to make it with our family, marketing, real estate investing, some sales.
And parenting.
You can find me on social down below.
Don't find me.
Anyways, go subscribe. If you want to see another deal, how we analyzed a flip down in LA, I will leave that video here and I will go click it and I will see you in that video.
If you found this helpful at all, make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video with Josh.
Wow. By the way, that would mean a lot because these videos do take a lot of work.
They do.
It's not easy. Paying editors is not cheap either. So thank you. Help us. Thank you.
Bye-bye.